Meeting the legends. Today, Ulf Andersson, the Swedish endgame virtuoso. Um, I played against him 3 times and I got 0 points. And that's kind of difficult for a strong grandmaster, which I consider myself, because he's usually making a lot of draws. But I desperately wanted to beat him, and that's not the right approach against Ulf Andersson. You will run into a brick wall and just die. And today you're gonna see it's a small masterpiece. I think Ulf played it very well. Uh, a little bit about Ulf. He was in the world elite for a long time, but he was suffering from reminigitis, or what do you call it, and was basically too afraid to play. So his nervous system is not the best, and he is also, to be honest, I think he's a nice guy. He's a friendly person, but he is a little bit annoying to play against because you can feel that he's getting nervous and he starts to have sort of tics, and when he gets very nervous or he's winning, he starts to sniff and things like that, and that's always very disturbing for me. Unfortunately, I never grew out of that. Uh, but his technique is excellent, and when people force him to play, he will play excellently. He's really, really good, and he's especially really good with technical endings. I think some of the games he won, like the one against Franco, I can never get enough of that game. That's just such a nice technical game. Uh, and it's so clear, crisp, and you just feel the way he's thinking and playing. But it's easy to understand, and it's very difficult to do. And today we're gonna see a game with chess legend Ulf Andersson. By the way, a lot of people was inspired by Ulf, all this very solid and not losing and being very strong in the ending. The problem is it is a recipe for drawing a lot of games, and it's not good for your career. You should try to uh, welcome losses like Larsen did, and say that losing is fine. It's part of the game. You cannot win without uh, sometimes losing. Trying to be safe is not a good idea. So okay, let's get on with it. It was in 1999, and my excuse for playing very badly in this tournament, that was I had a great year, and then the night before this tournament, me and my current my not current my girlfriend at the time, we broke up, and I was sort of a mess during the whole tournament. So that's my excuse. I made 1 out of 6, and lost 2 times against Ulf Andersson, and this was one of the times, and it was the second game, and I'm black, and he's playing his normal sort of flexible structure, and I was not at the time. I liked the Maroxy for black, and had I actually had very good results with it, but it's not my style basically. And here I decided to try one of Larsen's old ideas, or it's not a Larsen idea. But it's just a line. Um, it's interesting idea to do this. In general, you can say that the Maroxy is white does have a clear space advantage, but black is very solid, have a very nice structure, and potentially, and this is always this bishop can be bad, and it can be bad because white will have a tendency to put all the pawns on white. Okay, that's far in the future. He has to take and go back, and I put the knight here, and of course this is a nice square for the knight. In general, of course, it's a little bit vulnerable to a pawn coming, but if the pawn comes, then this guy will be weak. Okay, queen a5, getting the queen out, rook here, and you can take, but it's extremely dangerous, and I would not recommend it. So don't take that pawn. He will take with the rook and play queen c1 after queen takes a2, I think, and have a But this was the line I wanted to try. It was popularized by Larsen, who had some great ideas. And basically, black is waiting to see where his king is going, and he wants to sit on the black squares with d5, and maybe having the king in the center. I thought it was very sort of elegant way to play. And he just played b3, and here I think that was sort of a novelty, which is weird, but it does cover this pawn. So I think Ulf would not like to sacrifice pawn. Another thing about players like Ulf and also a player like Petrosian that people usually don't get is they're extremely strong tactically. Ulf Andersson's the small tactics is where his main force is. He's I'm not sure he's positionally in sort of unbalanced middle game. I don't think he's very good, but in small tactics he's very good. And then of course he would like to sit behind a very sound and healthy structure and just trying to get to the ending. This and f3 also covering pawns here. He's basically playing it very safe and keeping things going. And this is my idea, and it's probably wrong. I should probably just have played this move here. This move would probably be better. But I was still hoping to make a maneuver that I've seen that I thought was really, really cool. Putting here, getting here, and then placing this guy here. And I thought that was very, very cool, but I'm not sure now that is correct. And d5 does give white a target to attack. So d6 would have been better. And Ulf Andersson jumps at the chance. In general, knight d5 is not a great option in the Maroczy, but here the ending is slightly nice for white. And the d-pawn would definitely like to do like that, which is the problem with pawns. They can't do like that. Okay, I have to take, of course, and rook here, and this is all where it belongs. I just need a little bit more time, and I'm fine. Unfortunately, I'm not getting that time because here comes h4, attacking the pawn. And we see that white has a clear, slight but clear space advantage. And here I made a mistake. I thought that my structure and position was good enough to withstand what was coming. So I didn't play it dynamically, and I should have. I should have played this move. This would have been best. And I think white should be better, but black will get some compensation. If he probably will have to take, otherwise I will take and play on the d file, and then I will play knight c5, and he'll probably have to take that as well, and I will get the bishop pair, and my pieces will be okay. But this is clearly a mistake. Because this pawn will simply be weak, and the h file is not to my advantage that it's opened. And he took, and he just played normal move here, and here. And the problem is that white has a slight but very clear initiative after this move. The rook is. I'm thinking. I'm going to give the great Ulf Andersson a bad bishop, but he has seen further. He has better understanding of the position and see that his initiative will be strong, and this bishop will probably end up being better than this bishop down here. Anyway, what's coming is very instructive. d6, getting ready to sort of relocate the king to a safer place, and having it in center is nice, and just need to cover those pawns, and I'll be fine. It's not so easy. So he's threatening to take here and take here. So he's forcing me to take, giving up the d4 square because his king is now here. And this sort of small, tricky ideas is all what it's all about for Ulf. Doesn't look too bad. right? Doesn't look too bad. And attacking here, I noticed that f6 would be a disaster due to knight takes f6. And here comes what he's seen all along, d3. There are two ideas behind this move. One of them is this, and the other one is this, and maybe this coming. And it's all rather unpleasant, especially the maneuver to h3, making his bishop very strong, which was not the supposedly bad bishop. Okay, and I try to duck in, and at that time I was pretty good at defending. And the idea, of course, here is if he goes here, I'll just go back, and we can say draw. And so I'm sort of offering a quiet. It's a quiet draw offer, but Ulf has already sensed blood and see that his position is pretty nice here. E6 and bishop coming here, and this is pretty annoying for me, especially since if I move the knight, then he will move the knight, and I can't move the knight because e6 will be hanging due to this X-ray here, which will always be a problem. Also notice this knight was supposed to land here on this square, and now it's sitting on d8, but it's only 2 moves away. And I probably make a big mistake here. I should probably, I don't know what I should have done. I should probably play knight king e8, just trying to relocate somewhat. King e8 would have been, this move would have been best. But I wanted to solve the problem, saying, okay, also exchanges should be good. Getting rid of the bishop and allowing it takes with this pawn, keeping it asymmetrical, of course, and keeping the king forward, and he's dominating this knight, and it's not so easy. Trying to get out here, and he's also have another plan. He would like to have his king walking all the way down to this square. I saw that, okay, we have problems here. Trying to activate the rook. And here comes the king, keeping the knight under control. Attacking rook here. And notice that he's covering this pawn. And now, of course, I play this with the idea to get going and get some counterplay. And of course, he goes here, and he's still dominating with the knight here. I was slightly hopeful that I might save the game here. I was not completely convinced that it was such a disaster. I played this, and I'm starting to get some counterplay, I thought, but just defending. It's very simple. He's defending all his pawns, and the king is free to roam. I keep on trying to attack, hitting this pawn. G4, defending, putting the pawn on white, and notice that the bishop is strong even though it looks weak. And check, and king here, and it is of course possible to transpose into a rook ending, but it would have been a disastrous rook ending. I'm just losing the d pawn, and then he will very quickly make create a pass pawn on the c file, and it will win easily. Notice my king is sort of boxed out of the game by the pawn on g4. So I played d7, avoiding this check. He was threatening to give the check and take on d6, but he of course still played this move. So he's at the moment he's threatening this move, and here, and on the king march down, if I move the king, I will still have the option of giving a check. So he just stops the check from coming, go back, and keeps this pawn shielded with the bishop. He will just take with the pawn and take with the king. And here I'm trying to defend very well. He cannot win a pawn yet. His pawn his rook is still inactive. But notice that with the maneuver here, he managed to double protect this pawn, freeing the rook here for active service. b4. And I cannot attack anything. Just sort of swirling. I might hope he goes b5 and I can mate him in one. And the rook comes out. And here, and bishop out again. He might be threatening something like this. Who knows? c8. He's keeping the king active. King b5, and it might go here. And notice that he's keeping this knight under control all the game. And here I made a mistake. I should have played king e7, and I'm not totally lost. And a computer might save this game, even though I will get tortured for a long time. Here I played this move, and that was a clear mistake. White is winning now. Some precise calculation is needed. Attacking the rook, getting ready to get the king going. The trick is to avoid the check on c7 in all lines. So after this, he would just go here, and the king would take a7. And after this move, just go here, and I cannot avoid losing a pawn. He's simply threatening to take the knight and the pawn here, and after this he just can take the without any problems. Of course, I did not resign yet. Hoping, but it's hopeless, of course. And I could probably resign here, especially against Ulf. He's not making mistakes. By the way, the technique for these kind of position is to be extremely patient. Do not rush. You have all the time in the world. Make sure that knight is kept under control, and just wait, and then move forward. Make sure there is no counterplays. Just stop all counterplay and you will win. I see a lot of players, especially players with a little lower rating, that rush to try and win the game, and that's the worst thing you can do in this position. Be very, very patient. I can't stress that enough. Be very, very patient. And Ulf, of course, has all the patience in the world. Here, everything is under control. Nothing is attacked. Everything is defended. So he creates a pawn, pass pawn. And it's this marvelous piece here. The so-called bad bishop is really, really, really annoying. Something like this rook will come here at some point. I should probably make it green here. So after this, and here I resigned. It makes no sense to fight on here. I can't keep the knight. I'll probably play this move or here, and then the bishop will come here, and it's all over. Just to make sure, and I had enough, and it was a great little masterpiece by Ulf Andersson, really showing what he can do, and I think I probably learned a lot from this game. I was I think I was 28 at the time, and I became a better player by having these kind of nasty, hard, tough defeats. It's good for you, even though it really hurts when it happens. Ulf Andersson plays a little bit in leagues here and there. He often withdraws from tournaments, which is a shame, but like I said, his nervous system is not the best, and but he's a very friendly guy, and you can go and talk to him. He would, if you talk about chess, you can talk for a long time because he is a friendly, nice chap from Sweden. I hope you enjoyed this episode of DM Talks, even though I lost sort of a masterpiece. Well, that will we will also show that. Thank you for watching.